Hey, hi, hello, how are you? I'm Pia, and today I'm here to talk about all of the books that I read this December. Many things happened this December that were not planned for, but the most important being that I got really sick. If you know, you know. And while I was sick, I listened to a lot of audiobooks, and it caused me to just not be able to read with my eyes for a solid few weeks. So we've got a lot of audiobooks, lots of things I got from the library, lots of videos and stuff towards the end. I've read a lot of books. I read 18, 19 books. I'm going to stop doing whatever it is I'm doing right now, and let's just get freaking reviewing them. Especially since most of you guys don't even know I read these books, unless you follow me on Goodreads, which, shameless self-plug, my Goodreads is down below. You can friend me, you can follow me, and then you can be on this journey with me. As always, I'm going to talk about these books in the order in which I read them. So first thing I read in December was Kiss Her Once for Me. This is a sapphic holiday romance that has two timelines about these two girls who meet in the past timeline, and they have this beautiful, lovely snow day together, you know, fall in love over a day or whatever. They don't see each other again, and then it's a year later on Christmas, and one of them is kind of doing this marriage of convenience, engagement of convenience thing with a guy who ends up being the brother to that girl. So it's a little bit complicated. I personally didn't love this book. I think that the relationship, because of the way that the story was structured and the narrative was told, I wasn't very invested in it, and I was just kind of told all these things rather than actually feeling them along with the characters. I didn't really fall in love with them. I didn't really feel them falling in love. It was kind of just oh my gosh, I'm in love with her, and I was like, wait, I missed it. Unfortunately, that's how I felt kind of through the whole of this book. Wasn't my favorite, so I give it 2 stars. Then we have a DNF. I think I DNF'd a couple books this month. It happens. I try not to, but especially towards the end of the year, I'm like, I don't care. And this is The Diaries of Alan Rickman, Truly Madly. Is that what it's called? Deeply Madly. Madly Deeply. Whatever. You know. It's kind of hard to explain what didn't work for me about this book, but I can just tell you what this book is and that it wasn't what I wanted. This is a compilation of all of the meticulous diaries that Alan Rickman kept for, God, I don't know, 20, 30 years? I don't fucking know. And it's just every day. It's every single day. And you basically just get these little jotted notes. I mean, it's carefully written, I guess, because it's Alan Rickman and he was, you know, meticulous about certain things. Literally just every single day. And so it's 365 of these, and then you do it again and then again. And it's just, it's not what I wanted. And it's just very, very not what I wanted. So next up, I read Love Light Farms, which I am so happy I read this month. This is a holiday romance set at a Christmas tree farm. Now, our main character is trying to save her Christmas tree farm. It is kind of she is gonna lose it because the finances, they are not there. And she has figured out that the only way to get enough cash dough money to keep her business afloat is to enter this influencers kind of competition contest that will give her a lot of clout and give her a cash prize. But she's like, well, I want to make sure my farm, my Christmas tree farm, has the it factor. And I'm gonna say that it's run by me and my partner, me and my boyfriend or whatever. And that'll make it more special and more whatever. So she enlists her best friend, Luca, which, funny how I remember the love interest name and not the main character. Isn't that funny? To pretend to be her boyfriend while this person is here. Lordy, 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 do I just love this man. I love him. I love him so much. He is the sweetest being. He is the most wholesome creature that walked the earth. I don't know. I love a sweet guy. You know, I love a cutie pie. This love interest is that. I can see how this can be annoying for some people because it took a lot of convincing for this girl to be like, wait, we're fake dating, but we could be real dating? And it just doesn't compute in her mind. And if you don't like that, that's fair enough. But for me, I was like, this man is so sweet that I feel like he would do this for anyone because he's just a good fucking Samaritan. Obviously he's in love with you, but obviously you don't get it. You don't get it yet. It's fine. But I loved it, and the vibes were great. The romance was fantastic. 4 stars. Next up, I have another DNF. I call this a soft DNF because I didn't really want to put it down, but I didn't want to keep reading. And that is Magnolia Parks. Unfortunately, this book just found itself in this really cyclical pattern, and it just kind of kept repeating itself, and there wasn't any plot going on. It's all about this relationship between Magnolia Parks and her best friend DJ, and they have this really toxic relationship of they're madly, deeply in love with each other, but they are so bad for each other. And they haven't been able to make their relationship, romantic relationship work because there was cheating and, you know, there's alcohol abuse and stuff like that. And they have already decided that's not gonna work. But they keep doing these things to intentionally hurt each other, which is Magnolia just dating a bunch of guys, or kind of fake dating a bunch of guys to make him jealous, or him screwing a bunch of girls. It's just a mess, which is fine. But there was nowhere we're getting to. I was like, okay, eventually they're gonna be together or they are not, and I don't care. Next up, I read Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism. This is a nonfiction book all about the language used by cults and used to talk about cults, and culty things. I really like this. I really like the approach that it took, obviously with like this lens of language, which I didn't anticipate because apparently I just didn't read the subtitle. And I really liked that because I felt like that was super unique in a nonfiction book about cults. Like, it wasn't just like, this is about Heaven's Gate. It's like, let's talk about why these cults are so persuasive and why they're able to get followers, like how they work, how they function, why they're so successful. And it was really interesting, and I really like this idea of like a cult-ish and how there are these kind of like micro cults and like how there are cultish things about certain groups of people and individuals that aren't necessarily, as long as they're not being used for evil, there's nothing wrong with that, but in recognizing that they are using some of the same persuasive techniques and the same kind of language is really interesting. So I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I found it very interesting. It's a good like brief overview of a lot of different things, and yeah. Next up, I finished one of my favorite middle grade series, and that is the 6th book in the Land of Story series, Worlds Collide. This series has taken me a long time. I have the first book, and only the first book. Oh, green's over here too. Oh, it's here. But I finally finished it. It was really hard to say goodbye, to be honest, and I really can't tell you a lot about it because it's a 6th book in a 6-book series. I really recommend this series. I think Chris Colfer does a great job of intertwining all of these different fairy tales and making them so like familiar and comforting, but also like just taking a new spin on lots of different things, especially different types of characters and stuff. He like really plays around with like those archetypical the word? Archetypical character? We're gonna go with that. And common tropes and stuff like that. And I think it's a really like smart book, and it's really really freaking fun also. The humor is there, but also like the journey and like the plot is just like a really fun freaking time. And I really enjoyed it. Give it 4 stars. One of the books I read when I was sick was If This Gets Out. This is by Sophia Gonzalez and Cale Dietrich. This is a book that I have been meaning to read for so long, and I'm so glad I read it because it was just everything. It was everything I wanted it to be, and it made me so happy. This is, like I said, a boy band romance. It is following 2 members of a boy band called Saturday, and kind of just their relationship and dealing with common like normal teenage things of like a YA of like coming out and like just kind of family dynamics and navigating friendships and pressures and stuff like that, while also having this like immense pressure of the whole world watching you because you're famous and in this like boy band that's really popular, and you have like the fans and also just like your actual contractual obligations. And listen, am I gonna say it's fan fiction? No, but it was great. I have also read fan fiction this month, and I think it was great. I think it was great. It was everything I wanted it to be. The relationship was there. It was beautiful. Loved it. Next up, I read How to Excavate a Heart. This is by Jake Maya Arlo. This is a sapphic YA holiday romance. Okay, it's winter break. This girl is doing this like college program internship thing in a different town than she lives in, and it's for paleontology because she's a paleontologist queen. And she recently had a really bad relationship that she got out of. Not happy about it, not feeling her best, and really closed off. And she meets this other girl, and you get it. This book was so good. It was so good. I really liked it. I like a lot of things about it. I like that it's a little bit older. I think I said it's YA. I guess it could be new adult. It's shelved under YA, but they are college freshmen. I loved the characters. I loved the plot. I loved the discussion of abuse and toxic relationships. I loved this kind of like, I love this idea of like who you are in a different place. I always love stories like that where it's like, I wouldn't say fish out of water because I feel like that's a different thing, but like someone on a trip or something like that, you know, in a different city, like, and then kind of having that like reality adjustment towards the end. Like, I don't know, I really like stuff like that. This book has a lot of similarities to my book, my manuscript that I wrote this past year, and a lot of different like undertones and themes to my book, and it just made me so happy that it did. I was like, oh, it can be done, and like people will read it and like it, and that was really great for me. So next up, I read a sequel, which like, go me. I read The Wise Man's Fear. This is the sequel to The Name of the Wind. It's the 2nd book in the King Killer Chronicles series. This follows Quoth in the 2nd day of telling his story, and man, shit, you know what I mean? I love The Name of the Wind. It's one of my favorite fantasy books of all time, and this sequel just like did it for me. I wouldn't say I liked it as much as the first book. I tend to not like the sequel as much as the first book, and then I tend to like really like the 3rd book or hate it, then you know, because here's how things go. And I will talk about it in terms of High School Musical and not in terms of this book to not spoil it. So in High School Musical, you know, you're start of something new, like everything's new, fresh, fabulous. We're all at school. High School Musical 2, they're like away. They're not at school. They're at some country club. Shit. High School Musical 3, they're back at school, but like things are different. And would you guess that High School Musical 2 is my least favorite High School Musical? There we go. That's why I don't like sequels. With that being said, this book is fantastic. I laughed, I cried, I like had a beautiful time reading this book. Like I said, I couldn't read with my eyes, so I had a beautiful time listening to it. I highly recommend the audiobooks. These are fantastic audiobooks. And I can't wait to read the novella. I can't wait until the third book comes out, but I'm not alone in that. I know a lot of people are like more than pissed at Patrick Rothfuss, but he can take his sweet time. He really can. Whether he wants to give me a book or not, I just kind of, here's the thing, like, I need answers. I want someone to, like, write the sequel. It doesn't have to be him. I just want someone else to write the third book so I can read it and I can know, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I was. I was really doing a lot of grinding, searching for that third book. I was like, please, just someone write it. But it was fantastic. I love it. If you want a good big old high fantasy series, this is your guy. It's grown-up Harry Potter. It's a good time. Next up, I finally finished this book. No. Anyway. Moving on, I read 3 books that I filmed my reaction to reading all of them, and those are All the Young Dudes books. I'll talk about them in conjunction. Again, I didn't like the second book as much as the first one and the third one. Are we shocked? I just think it's a theme. All the Young Dudes is a fanfiction series following the Marauders generation, otherwise known as Remus, Sirius, James, I was gonna say Potter, and Peter, who are like the generation that came before Harry Potter in the 70s, goes till the 90s, and it's mostly just following their school years for the first 2 books, and then the third book is like beyond the wand. I will continue to make that joke. It's great, it's queer, it has a lot of darker themes, especially than the original series. It has some swearing, it has lots of music. I just really feel like this gave me such a greater appreciation for those kind of undervalued, those like other characters that I wasn't really concerned with when you first reading the series. Like Lily and James are 2 of my favorite characters. Like seeing the entire progression of their relationship and that payoff and then having them die. I could cry just thinking about it. I cried a lot reading these books. I really did. They really tugged at the good old heartstrings. I was so invested. I love them. I love how like they have so many parallels to like the original series. I think they just did such a good job, and I'm just like astounded with the fact that people can do this, like write such amazing things, and like I just want it to be published. I want it to be on my shelves, and I think that's like the highest praise I can have for a fan fiction. I gave the first book 5 stars, second book 4 stars, and the third book 5 stars. I don't like the second book in series, which I'm finding out right now. The only other thing that I could say is it's not canon, so no like going into it, but also know that as a Nymphadora Tonks stan, I was a little bit underwhelmed that she was not present in the way that I wanted her to be. But maybe I'll just go looking for other fanfiction, so that's fine. And then the last 4 books I also read for a different reading vlog, so I'm just gonna go over my ratings and my just quick thoughts on them, because I read them all in a day on the last day of the year, New Year's Eve, like I do for the last couple of years. First is I Like Me Better. This is the second Robbie Weber book, who is a booktuber here. I haven't read his first book, but I did remember seeing it and hearing about it, and I am still kind of interested in it. Unfortunately, this book was not my favorite. I think that it wasn't very cohesive, I guess, in its like plot. It was trying to do a few things, but I feel like they were too different to meld well together. Side characters especially were just so underdone, just constantly just flipped-flopped, and were super inconsistent with their motivations, intentions, and characteristics. I did like the love interest and I liked the romance enough, but overall it just wasn't great. Next up, I read Nick Blake and the Remarkables, The Manifestor's Prophecy. This is the first book in Angie Thomas's new middle grade fantasy trilogy. This I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I really like how she melded together African-American history and folklore, and also just kind of like current politics. It's able to be subtle in its direction of racism and police brutality. I just think it did such a great job of talking about those issues for a younger audience and making a really fun, entertaining, and educational story. You know, it was very cute. I really liked our kind of trio of characters that we were following and their journey throughout the story. I liked the meta aspects of it, and I think it was a fun first book in the series. And then I read Talia Hibbert's first YA contemporary romance, which is highly suspicious and unfairly cute. This is following a teen influencer as she is going on this kind of like outdoors retreat thing, a competition, I don't know, to try to get a scholarship. And her rival, or ex-best friend, is also trying and competing for the same scholarship in the same program. So they're forced to spend a lot of time together, and I am sure that you can understand where that goes. I think it did a great job of talking about like a lot of problems like teens face, which is like parental expectations, especially going into like colleges and stuff, relationships in high school. And since it's Talia Hibbert, it's not only freaking hilarious, like the one-liners, the witty comebacks, but also goddamn that romance. Like from the first page, I was like, they're in love, I'm sold, like I'm here for it. So it was really, really good. I give it 4 stars. And then the last book I read this year the last book I read this year and this month was Begin Again. This is the new Emma Lord. These are all arcs. Did I say that? Anyway, this is coming out in January. It is a new adult. It's following a college freshman named Andy who just transferred. It's her 2nd semester, so she just transferred from a community college that she was attending to a kind of bigger college that she always wanted to go to, and she mostly is transferring to surprise her boyfriend who is going to that college. But unfortunately for her, she transfers at the same time to that college that he transfers to her college. And so now they're stuck in 2 separate places, and she kind of has to make the best out of that situation. Do I have to say I love Emma Lord? Do I have to say it one more time for this video? I'll say for the people in the back, I love Emma Lord. Did you hear it the first time? No, you did. She makes me cry. She makes me laugh. She makes me swoon. She makes me literally like hold my breath, because this book waits for the last fucking moment for the couple to get together. And you know what? It was worth it. I love it. I just think she does such a great job of having a great balance of like lighthearted things and kind of some more serious topics. She does a fantastic job of it. And I'm so excited for you guys to read this book because it's coming out soon. And I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was fucking fantabulous. Those are all the books that I read in December. Are you tired? I'm tired. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've read any of these books or what you read in December, your favorite book maybe. Are we happy that 2022 is over? I'm so happy. I was like so done with reading most of this month, which is why I read a lot of audiobooks. With that being said, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to all the things, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.